Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar, where we'll be focusing on the infrastructure cloud and more specifically, security lifecycle management. My name is Connor Beechnor, and I'll be your moderator for this session. And today I'm delighted to welcome Pedro Ortiz de Zuniga, who is our solutions engineer here at HashiCorp, and he'll be your presenter today. In terms of housekeeping, if you do have any questions throughout the session, please ask them via the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen, and we'll answer them at the end. Just to let you know, we are able to share the recording and the slides for today's session, and we'll share those via email, usually within 48 hours. So with that, let's get started. Over to you, Pedro.
Okay, thank you, Connor. Well, first of all, I would like to welcome everyone for joining this webinar. As Connor said, my name is Pedro Ortiz. I'm a solutions engineer here at HashiCorp. And today I'm here to talk about how to use a maturity model as a guide to successfully adopt HashiCorp tools to help you enable infrastructure lifecycle management. So when it comes to understanding the source of enthusiasm, it's important to look at the application value chain. The process starts with the application developer teams that they focus on creating and building the code for the application. The next one is the infrastructure lifecycle management, where the operations platform team focus on the process of building infrastructure, deploying resources, and then managing the lifecycle of that infrastructure. The third one is the security lifecycle management, where your operations teams and security teams have the systems in place to inspect and protect the sensitive materials such as environment variable secrets, certificates, and keys. Also, they are responsible for securely connecting the elements within the environment via least privileged access for people, machines, and services. So when you look at application across this through system, HashiCorp addresses the need of infrastructure and security lifecycle management. And the place HashiCorp really shines is when companies decide to put in place a programmatic approach as it relates to lifecycle management of infrastructure and security across the entire organization. The goal for the application development teams is to be able to move faster. They don't want to spend days or even weeks waiting for the infrastructure team to give them the infrastructure or the security team to allowing them to open some network, a firewall port or any different kind of thing. So, however, the notion of a programmatic approach implies that it's being deployed by a central team, generally known as a platform team, to create a common approach on the organization. This standard approach allows the platform team to also include considerations around cost controls, also general security compliance, policies, and all those teams should adhere to those policies. So we know that ignoring these cost and risk considerations can have negative implications for the organization. Gartner tells us that the average company experience overexpense on cloud resources of 35%. And when developer security practices are modernized along with the transition to cloud, sensitive information can be put at risk. In the worst cases, even can lead to a data breach. But even if a breach doesn't occur, a lot of teams find themselves with enormous amounts of time and money preparing for audits because there is no single system of record for how all this sensitive information is handled. So this is why HashiCorp created the infrastructure cloud. This is how we enable companies to deliver the infrastructure and security lifecycle management, and we do it all on a unified system called the HashiCorp Cloud Platform. And in the big picture, the infrastructure cloud in place, you are unblocking developer innovation by ultimately enable single-click self-service deployment of the environment they need. These template workflows are based on golden patterns defined by the platform team and include all the right policy and security controls at the time of deployment. Now that you understand how we see the big picture, let me share the typical blueprint for how we see customers adopting the infrastructure cloud and the prescriptive pattern that will help you to get your ideal end state. Over the last decade, and through our thousands of customers, we've become to see a very standard set of phases in adoption of cloud. The first stage is about the adoption of new technologies that are going to help the development teams to engage with the cloud. At this stage, new tools are typically developer-driven discovery and usage, and the organization's profile is based on multiple tactical solutions to short-term problems. HashiCorp technologies are many times part of the solution these teams create for infrastructure as a code or secrets management, but each team is generally doing their own thing to best meet their needs for that day. In the second stage, the organization takes a look at the big picture and realizes the inefficiencies and associated problems of this ad hoc problem, such as the cost of infrastructure, the risk management, and reduces the redundant work streams. This is the stage in which you develop a centralized approach to workflows, including policy enforcement, and enable teams to collaborate and share a common code. You also establish a system of record for infrastructure and security to enable the effective lifecycle management. In the third stage, you extend decentralization and collaboration from stage 2 to include self-service and more sophisticated automation, including automated remediation. You are also able to extend this practice beyond your primary cloud provider to other providers, software as a service application, and even on-premise states. So if we dig into this view a bit more, there are specific building blocks to be put in place to deliver scalable infrastructure lifecycle management and scalable security lifecycle management. And this is where we take a detour and really focus on the aspect of security lifecycle management. Let's start by addressing identity-based security. When we take a step back and look at the market landscape, how we secure applications needs to change. We are no longer in a static IT environment where you can use IP address and network perimeters to lock down your applications. To make sure that no one infiltrates your environment, moves laterally, and exfiltrates data, you need to drive access based on this privilege. Vault is HashiCorp's product line to enable the identity-based security. Right now, Vault is the standard for security automation for access to secret and sensitive data. It uses trusted identities to broker connections between applications and users. With Vault, you authenticate and authorize every access request to every machine. Also, Vault uses your preferred identity access management providers to enforce that people and machines are who they say they are and only get access to what they need to access based on fine-grained controls. Also, Vault acts as a system of record for your centrally store your secrets and sensitive data. Then you can manage the life cycle of those credentials over your time in Vault. Vault addresses 4 key use cases. The first one is the secrets management, then certificate management, key management, and data protection. So let's dive in and see how each of these areas are applied as prescriptive patterns to achieve your ideal state. So this probably may look like a lot, but just let me briefly explain, as it is very important to explain all the maturity model of Vault. So this maturity model acts as a representation for how Vault is typically used as you mature through a blueprint for cloud success. Each stage will focus on those 3 key areas. Not every organization will experience the same progression, but this represents a standard framework of opportunities to improve your secret management capabilities. Let's start at the top with the security workflow and how the various capabilities support each stage of the maturity model. In the adopting phase, everyone begins by simply generating and managing static secrets. These secrets could be used to authenticate a user or machine to an internal application or to consume a public cloud service. You might also start assigning policies to govern access and enable least privilege security principles. You can also provide your team with a secure way of self-managing their secrets through namespaces and creating identities for use with different authentication methods. Additionally, you could try centrally syncing your key value secrets with native repositories you're already using for better control and visibility. And as you move right into the standardizing stage, you might start creating dynamic on-demand credentials unique to requesting client or integrate secrets management natively with Kubernetes to support containerized applications. When your managed stage continues to grow in size and number of environments you need to manage, Vault will provide enterprise capabilities such as high availability with disaster recovery and performance replication to ensure your secrets are always available. The last stage of this part is scaling. As you scale, your infrastructure can become more complex and be compromised of multiple cloud platforms. At this point of the security workflow, you are likely managing more than just secrets. Because of this, you need support for more extensive security requirements, such as certificate and key lifecycle management. Your generated certificates can also be distributed and have their lifecycle managed through key management services. You will most likely also need advanced data protection capabilities, such as encryption as a service, to encrypt data in transit and data at rest across your cloud providers. If you also need to protect sensitive data, such as credit card numbers, then Vault can provide data tokenization to protect this information transparently. With our second focus area, visibility is critical, as Vault becomes your system of record for secrets. The adopting stage provides easy access to common cloud identity access management platforms like GitHub, Kubernetes, and Active Directory to authenticate with Vault. You can also leverage your choice of third-party monitoring solution like Datadog, Grafana, and Splunk to capture and manage data related to secrets management. As you move to the standardizing stage, compliance becomes increasingly important. You need audit logging capabilities and support for secure modes of remote access, enabling multi-factor authentication with systems such as Auth. If you're already using other HashiCorp products like Terraform, then seamless products integration also becomes important. As you standardize and Vault becomes your secrets system of record. For example, you can streamline your Terraform workflows to generate and reference secrets dynamically. Also, Vault will be the underlying system when you use Boundary to manage your just-in-time credentials. And Consul can use Vault Cluster as a service mesh certificate authority. When scaling your system of record across multiple clouds and data centers, you will find yourself needing to deepen your ecosystem. You may need to include your dynamic credential management of resources like Oracle or DB2 running in your private data center. Or it could be a broader range of cloud or containerized resources. Bottom line is you are extending secrets management workflows into an increasingly wider range of platforms and systems to maintain Vault as the secret systems of record. The last focus of this area is lifecycle management, where Vault builds on being the system of record by providing you crucial visibility into the current health of your secrets, then provides ongoing information to help you better maintain it going forward. In the adoption phase, you can scan your existing environment with HCP Vault Radar to determine how serious your secrets sprawl is, then gain insights to help you remediate any issues. And secure secrets are a problem for pretty much any organization. As you move into the standardization stage, you can also leverage HCP Vault Radar by configuring proactive alerts or set it to block pull requests if code contains any sensitive data. This helps you to keep the secret sprawl under control. You can also use Vault's dedicated event monitoring system to track and fix secrets lifecycle issues such as failed authentications or secrets expirations. So through those features, HashiCorp Vault can add value to your security posture in a number of places. However, cost, risk, and speed are generally the primary focus of the companies. Starting with cost, there is a likelihood you should be able to eliminate some of your current vendor spend relating to firewalls, certificates, and even key management. Then the next, and then probably the most important area is risk. And this starts with simply preventing credential exposure, and this is at the heart of what Vault does. It provides a standardized approach for the entire company to adopt in terms of how credentials are managed. Without a single standardized approach, it really may just be a matter of time before a breach occurs. The second part is about putting a mechanism in place to eliminate secret sprawl. People tend to have secrets everywhere, and Vault provides the ability to place a corporate policy around secrets in a standardized manner to help eliminate secret sprawl and reduce the risk of having one of those secrets get exposed somewhere you are not aware of. The third one, lastly, is speed and making the most of your people's time by extremely current workflows. The legacy secret rotation process is typically laden with overhead due to ticketing process, multiple teams, and loads of variants while the workflow is completed. With Vault, there is no ticketing process, as new applications are deployed and need credentials. It's codified by your security team, and as long as it meets the appropriate conditions, Vault simply completes the task dynamically. Vault also can dramatically expedite the amount of work involved in preparing for and executing internal and external audit processes. This often takes a lot of time because there isn't a consistent approach and teams need to do a lot of manual work to prepare for these reviews. And I, I'd be remiss that if I didn't include the people aspect. The research tell us that people are really the most constrained resource in companies achieving their cloud goals. So being able to give them back thousands of hours each year to do more value-added work will be important to them as well as the company and its ability to innovate more quickly. So now we hear from our customers specific reasons on the value of using HashiCorp's Vault as the core platform for centralizing secret management. For example, the first one at BNID, a popular Vietnamese consumer retail application experienced rapid growth and needed to improve its secure posture by securing access to system data stores and integration across its company, both in the cloud and on-premise. With thousands of secrets to secure, the team was able to reduce developer cost spent by 90%, automating secrets management with Vault. Then the second one, Athena Health, is a global leader in healthcare technology, needs to keep its patient data and applications secure. As the company scaled, they were looking to replace their home-built secrets management solution to meet all compliance and security requirements. Centralizing security and certification requirements to have the secrets all involved enables the team to universally apply general secrets policies and roles scale automatically. The third one is NordLB, is the leading commercial bank in northern Germany. The bank is a leader in financing renewable energy and has a special expertise in financing in infrastructure projects, real estate, and aircraft. And by adopting Vault, they were able to reduce the time spent on secret rotation from 4 days to 5 minutes. That's 2,400 hours annually, down to 20. So now it might be hard to move on after hearing those numbers, but let's jump into the next topic around security lifecycle management, that is the identity-based user access. So the way many organizations have traditionally provided end users with access to servers, applications, services, and other infrastructures were through VPNs or bastion hosts that has not been very secure and requires a lot of manual efforts. But over the last decade, our world has changed. Like I mentioned before, we are no longer a static environment. We need to enforce least privileged access, and we need to enforce it to deliver secure human to machine access. This is where Boundary comes into play. HashiCorp Boundary is a modern privileged access management solution built for today's world where resources are dynamic. It provides a consistent experience for users to securely access resources in any public or private cloud. Administrators can pre-authorize users to access target resource based on their identity and limit users from accessing other resources. Workflows are completely automated and streamlined for both end users and administrators, making it simpler for end users to access resources and less touchpoints for admins to maintain over the time. With Boundary, end users no longer need to handle any credential, reducing the potential of a breach. Instead, users have a passwordless experience, and thanks to that, to an integration with Vault, dynamic credentials are short-lived and rendered useless if exposed. So, Boundary enforces security across several different layers, which allows users to authenticate through an identity provider of choice, connect to their pre-authorized resource, and do it securely, without involvement from the end user. So, let's take a step further and look at how each of these areas are applied as a prescriptive pattern to achieve an ideal state. So here is another slide that may look similar to the Vault maturity model that I mentioned before, but as I said previously, this slide is really important and it just reflects everything that what Boundary can do. So this is typically used as you mature through the blueprint for cloud success. Each state will focus on those three key areas, the same as Vault. So let's start with the secure access workflow and see how features help support each stage of the maturity model. In the first phase, Boundary starts with the fundamental capability that provides end-user access to various infrastructure resources like Linux Windows host via secure shell or remote desktop protocol. Also, Kubernetes clusters using kubectl or database access. Boundary can enforce least privilege access and handle credentials on behalf of the end user. Credentials may be stored within Boundary and brokered to the end user upon creation of each session. Access into the network is secure and proxied through the self-managed workers that dramatically reduce the attack surface. In the next phase, you standardize your workflow and secrets management using Vault. Boundary integrates with Vault to dynamically generate a single-use short-lived credential, which can be injected to the target resource on behalf of its user, resulting in a passwordless experience. In the scaling phase, where organization expands into the use case where highly sensitive resource resides in enclaves of complex internal networks with strict outbound-only policies, multi-hop sessions with reverse proxy connectors streamline end users' access without exposing network topologies. Boundary's flexibility provides the same consistent workflow and experience in any environment, making it simple to deploy and scale Boundary into any cloud or on-premise environment. Then let's move to the next area, which is Boundary System of Record to track the various resources under management. The initial adopting phase includes leveraging your existing identity providers like Okta, Active Directory, or LDAP, and using single sign-on to onboard your users. Boundary facilitates users and group onboarding by mapping to the identity providers. In the next phase, which is standardizing, you can continue with the various HashiCorp integration points. As previously mentioned, Vault's wide range of secret engines allows Boundary to broker short-lived dynamic credentials for many different resources. Boundary also integrates with Terraform to automate the deployment and configuration of Boundary clusters. Integration even extends to auditing capabilities where audit logs can be streamed to external business intelligence, event monitoring and observability platforms like Grafana, Prometheus, Datadog, Splunk, and CloudWatch. You can go beyond audit logs and also record detailed end-user commands and activities for all secure shell sessions, resulting in improving compliance. In the scaling phase, Boundary includes integration with AWS and Azure to simplify the onboarding of virtual machines into Boundary's host catalog. As organization scales, manual onboarding and maintenance of ephemeral virtual machines is impossible. Dynamic host catalog eliminates administrative overhead by automatically onboarding or offboarding virtual machines based on tags. In the lifecycle management area, Boundary provides visibility and management of end-user sessions. Administrators have full view and history of users and can terminate questionable sessions on demand. Boundary includes various search and filter capabilities to easily navigate and locate the desired resource out of the hundreds of thousands of potential sessions, users, and targets. So, moving to the standardization phase, administrators can ensure governance around lifecycle of record sessions, ensuring that they are properly retained and accessible before they are allowed to be deleted or archived. Customers have the option to store recordings in AWS S3 buckets or on-premise. You can also use advanced features with Boundary to manage the life cycle of your encryption keys with your existing key management systems like AWS KMS. And lastly, Boundary allows you to manage the lifecycle of end-user sessions by enacting approval workflows through integrations with ServiceNow, Indent, and PagerDuty. So through those features that I mentioned, HashiCorp Boundary can add value to your security posture in a number of places. However, it again comes down to cost, risk, and speed, the same as Vault. Cost comes in many forms, not just monetary. In this case, the value comes in the form of reducing the time and effort in deploying, managing, and consuming Boundary as compared to other options. Then there is risk and how it relates to authorization and authentication. We covered how authorization is one of Boundary's foundational capabilities by enforcing least privileged access to a resource and doing it on an as-needed basis. In reality, many organizations are stuck in those static ID patterns, limiting access by firewall rules, which is flawed approach in a dynamic world where resource and IPs are constantly changing. And With regards to authentication, Boundary helps eliminate users from ever handling static, long-lived credentials. Plus, due to an integration with Vault, the whole process can be completely automated where users don't even see or care that credential exists. We again wrapping up on focus with a focus on the speed. Oftentimes, simplicity, ease of use, and speed are sacrificed for the sake of a tighter security. Boundary removes the responsibility of handling credentials away from end users, who no longer need to be concerned with safety, securing, and rotating credentials. Then, by abstracting the network away, users no longer need to track IP addresses of their resource. With those responsibilities offload to Boundary, both security and velocity is dramatically improved. There is also the people aspect, which is spread across all the three areas, since they continue to be the most constrained resource in companies when it comes to achieving their cloud goals. So with Boundary, we have a customer who has experienced firsthand the value of Boundary has brought to their organization. The company is called Mantech, a leading government IT service provider who deals with the most sensitive and high-value information, was using manual process to manage certificates and keys for securing access. With a small centralized DevOps team, they understood that this manual process cannot scale and also increase their risk profile. Ultimately, they wanted to improve their security posture while also modernize their corporate operations in a dynamic environment. After researching various tools, they adopted HashiCorp Boundary alongside HashiCorp Vault because of its cloud agnostic nature and its expansive automation capabilities. Their adoption of Boundary resulted in improved zero trust enforcement and more streamlined user experience, and also reduced the burden on the DevOps team. So wrapping up, when we take all the concepts we learn about infrastructure as a code with Terraform, building and managing images with Packer, we learn how those are applied successfully through maturity models that act as a blueprint for cloud success to achieve infrastructure lifecycle management. That's just one of the system of the programmatic approach to a unified development platform for infrastructure that it's called HashiCorp Cloud Platform. So yeah, that's it. Thank you all for your time, and I will pass it back to Connor.
Fabulous. Thank you, Pedro. And just a reminder to the audience, if you do have questions, please post them in the chat or via the Q&A function. But we do have a couple of questions that have come through already. So Pedro, we've got someone here that says, I'm interested in Vault, but don't have the in-house capabilities or knowledge to get this in production. What are your recommendations on how to get started? Should I go straight to HCP Vault, or do you recommend anything else?
Well, first of all, if you never have working with Vault before, I would like to recommend to use the Vault open source solution. So it's completely free. You can work with that solution in a development mode, and you can start working with them and see the capabilities. Although it's true that there are some features that are enterprise, you will need the HCP Vault or the Vault Enterprise. But I would like to recommend for the first steps to use the open source solution. It's completely free on the website.
Right. Thank you, Pedro. And as far as HCP is concerned as well, you can also create an account for free and play around with that to a certain level if you want to as well. So both are of options. But another question is, can the product seen here today be used as part of a wider zero trust security approach?
Excuse me, can you repeat the question?
Can the products that we've seen today be used as part of a wider zero trust security approach?
Yeah, of course. Yes, I think I mentioned before, Boundary is it's key for your zero trust security model. So based on, well, one of the main principles of the zero trust is the least privileged access. So you only want to allow specific users access a specific resource. So that's where Bolt and Boundary works together and helps you to reach your zero trust architecture.
Okay, Fabulous. And I think that is all the questions that we've had so far. So in that case, we'll wrap things up. Thank you to Pedro, first of all, for this excellent webinar. And thank you to everyone who joined us today as well. Just a reminder that this session was recorded and we'll share that along with all of the slides with you via email, usually within the next 48 hours. So with that, I hope everyone enjoyed today's session and found it valuable learning a bit more about security lifecycle management. And we look forward to seeing you next time.